Yes. Hello, my name is Tim Whitcomb. I live in Henrico, Virginia. I'm a Sierra Club member, but I'm speaking for myself today. I would like to thank you for the opportunity to speak today. Every year, coal-fired power plants are dumping over 2 billion tons of dangerous carbon pollution and other pollutants into the air. These power plants are emitting carbon dioxide, but also soot, particulates, sulfuric acid, and heavy metals and other toxins into the air. Mercury is emitted from these coal-fired power plants, and mercury is known to cause mental retardation. The Clean Power Plan proposed by the EPA on June 2nd will slash carbon pollution from power plants, and it will force the phase out of a large number of coal-fired power plants. As a consequence, it will also prevent 150,000 asthma attacks and 6,600 premature deaths annually by the year 2030. There are many people who say that restricting power plants and their emissions will be very expensive and will harm the U.S. economy. They say it will raise electric rates substantially and cause big problems for businesses and for consumers. This view ignores the fact that coal pollution in this country is causing more than $100 billion annually in health costs. In fact, I have read that the Clean Power Plan will have benefits of about $74 billion annually by 2030, whereas its costs will be only about $8 billion annually. Richmond, Virginia has 4 coal-fired power plants within 25 miles of the city. There's a major coal-fired power plant in Chesterfield County, and there's also a coal-fired power plant on the campus of the University of Richmond. I've been told that Richmond has twice been named the asthma capital of the United States due to its high prevalence of asthma. In July of 2013, I began a walking program to help me lose weight and also to improve my health. I was taking a brisk walk of about 3 miles each and every day. Then in October 2013, I got a bad cough. My doctor diagnosed me with bronchitis. My cough was so bad that I was forced to discontinue my walking program. I was not able to walk for about 6 months. Thankfully, I'm now doing my walk around my neighborhood again, although I am walking at a slower pace than I had been walking last year. I ask you to implement the Clean Power Plan and in fact exceed the 30% reduction in carbon emissions by 2030. Global warming is a very serious and ongoing problem, and we need severe reductions in carbon emissions as soon as possible. I would say that we need to reduce carbon emissions by at least 50% by 2030. I say this for these reasons. Global warming is causing more powerful storms, and these enhanced hurricanes and tornadoes are costing us lives and are costing FEMA, FEMA, and state and local emergency agencies a lot of money. Also, this country has already reduced carbon emissions by 12 to 15% since the year 2005, and this shows that large levels of reduction are in fact possible. Also, the EPA estimates for greater efficiency and for more alternative energies in the 50 states appear to be low. We can put many, many more wind turbines and solar panels out there. And also, if we have a level of carbon reduction of 50%, then the rest of the world will really notice. The USA will be setting a great example, and the rest of the world will then be more likely to follow our example. Thank you for your time and for your consideration.
Our next speaker, maybe because you put a question mark, Ralph White.
I will pass.
Okay. Our next speaker, and the last speaker on this list, is Doug Covillian. Did I get that close?
Close.
To the DEQ, I'd like to say thank you for taking time this evening to hear public comments on the proposed EPA guidelines for regulating carbon dioxide. My name is Doug Covillian. I was born and raised in Virginia, and I am a longtime resident of Henrico County. I decided to take time out of my evening to come and express my thoughts because climate change is one of the most serious issues facing our generation. On top of that, the EPA says that CO2 accounts for over 80% of all U.S. greenhouse gas emissions from human activities. Thankfully, the effects of climate change are unfolding slowly. Unfortunately, the gradual nature of climate change sometimes makes it easy to overlook the magnitude of the problems already underway. No doubt you will hear opinions from citizens and businesses wanting to keep government regulation out of industry. Some of those voices are going to tell you that regulating carbon dioxide is going to disrupt our economy. I'm here this evening to remind you that failure to reduce our carbon emissions carries much larger humanitarian and economic risks. In 2008, the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development published a study showing 40 million people living in port cities worldwide are at risk to coastal flooding due to climate-induced sea level rise. Using 2005 economic figures, the global assets at risk are estimated to be over $3 trillion, or 5% of global GDP. More locally, that same study puts Virginia Beach in the top 10 cities worldwide facing economic losses due to climate change and sea level rise. The same 2005 economic figures estimate the value of assets at risk in Virginia Beach alone to be $84.6 billion. That's over 20% of Virginia's GDP and more than 6 times the amount that Dominion Resources is planning to invest in their infrastructure over the next 4 years. A 2013 study titled Sea Level Rise and Flooding Risk in Virginia explains that in part due to ocean temperatures rising, sea level rise in Hampton Roads is happening at twice the global rate. To make matters worse, there were 3 separate studies in 2012 showing sea level rise is steadily accelerating. Those same studies conclude that if nothing is done, within 26 years, some streets in Norfolk will be flooded by saltwater twice daily for an hour at each high tide. Sea level rise and its impacts on Virginia are only one of the consequences of climate change. We're also likely to face prolonged droughts, more frequent, larger, damaging storms, and a spread in tropical diseases. I don't have time this evening to discuss all those impacts on Virginia, our citizens, and our economy, but I do want to remind you that sea level rise is only one aspect of climate change threatening the Commonwealth. As I mentioned, the effects of climate change, and in this case sea level rise, will take time to fully manifest. Sadly, the average lead time for projects to defend coastal cities from seawater intrusion is over 30 years. We simply cannot wait for climate change to take its toll on Virginia's coastal cities and the Commonwealth's economy. By then, it will be too late. We must act now to slow the rate of climate change, which is already happening. I urge you to make Virginia a leader in regulating carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gas emissions. Thank you again for your time.